Hi.
And welcome to Wheel Takes, a podcast that is usually about the Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan and then Brandon Sanderson, but right now is about the Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins.
I was wrong about more stuff. I'm happy about that.
I'm Allie, and I've read all of the Hunger Games.
I'm Gus, and I am a first-time reader of the Hunger Games who has read through Book 2, Catching Fire, Chapter 12.
Gus.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm dandy. I'm just fine.
I'm dandy as well.
I'm not in Panem. I'm in pre-Panem, I guess. Geographically.
Oh, I hope not.
No, I mean geographically.
Okay. I was like, damn.
I don't know what district. People tried to figure out like what district was where, and I guess it doesn't really work very well, except that Appalachia is for sure District 12, and District 11 is for sure the South.
Yeah, that's for sure. And then everything else is kind of wherever we feel like.
District 13, aka the fucking nuke district, which I should have seen coming.
Yeah.
Apparently being in like DC.
I don't know if you should have seen it coming. I honestly forgot about it.
I probably
until it came up.
Should have seen coming that they didn't just bomb the graphite mines into oblivion.
Yeah, there was something bigger they wanted
that
to
it
bomb
wasn't
into
just,
oblivion.
No, down with pencils. And whatever else you use graphite for.
Down with pencils. Yeah. But where did we leave off, Gus?
The President Snow was like, "Get fucked, all of y'all. I hate you." And it's hilarious that he thinks that anything Katniss or Peeta could have done would have had any effect on what proceeds to happen.
At this point, the snowball's rolling.
Yeah, it's like not even a little bit.
Forgive the accidental
That was quite clever.
Yeah. The snowball's rolling downhill. It's gaining speed. There's nothing we can do to stop it. We tried to throw Katniss and Peeta's bodies in front of it, but they are children, and they muddled it up real good.
Even if they hadn't.
They pushed it further. By
even
accident.
If they hadn't, yeah, like what the fuck were they supposed to do?
I mean, they're already kind of in open rebellion at this point.
A little bit.
Like we're there. We're doing it. We're in the dystopia and we're fighting the dystopia. There's nothing these two teenagers can do, even if they do kiss a lot.
I didn't really take any notes for any of this. I was having too much fun. Sorry.
No worries.
I also feel like these chapters are short enough that while the notes are kind of fun, they're not super necessary.
Yeah. Katniss starts thinking about... Chapter 6, Gus.
Yeah.
Katniss starts thinking about fleeing. She's like, I need to get back to District 12 and basically grab my mom and my sister, Gale and his family, Peeta. And then she decides to add Haymitch to the list.
Yes.
Yeah, you probably should. He'd probably get killed otherwise.
Yes.
And she wants to escape into the wild in the dead of winter and somehow evade capture. It doesn't feel like that's a great plan.
Yeah, she's panicking.
It feels like a plan a 16-year-old who's panicking would come up with.
Oh, but wait. We got to talk before we get to that. She goes to this ball and she's, continuing to panic. And then she meets the game maker for the next game.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the event in this chapter, right? I'm not trying to rush us. I'm just trying to remember, like, the main thing in this chapter.
Oh, but here's the thing. Oh, wait, but first there's a great exchange. So President Snow says, "What do you think about us throwing them a wedding right here in the Capitol?"
Oh, this, right.
And then Caesar asks the president if he has a date in mind. He says, "Oh, before we set a date, we better clear it with Katniss's mother."
That's funny.
Which is funny, but also a way of reminding
yeah.
Katniss that she has a family.
Yeah, that he could just kill.
Mm-hmm. And then he says, "Maybe if the whole country puts its mind to it, we can get you married before you're 30.
That's funny.
And she says, "You'll probably have to pass a new law," I say with a giggle. "If that's what it takes," says the president with conspiratorial good humor.
But
there's so much subtext in that conversation. Am I right?
Yeah.
And she goes, "Oh, the fun we two have together."
Does she say that or think that?
She thinks that.
Oh, God, she's funny.
I really think Suzanne Collins, I forgot how funny she is.
You've told me that one of the big differences, in your opinion, between the books and the movie is that Katniss in the movie is not anywhere near as funny.
No, which is strange to me because Jennifer Lawrence is pretty
hilarious,
funny.
Yeah.
But Katniss in the movies, I feel like the movies went way more like...
grim. I mean, it's already pretty grim.
Yeah.
But like without the gallows humor.
Yeah, there's not as much gallows humor, which in retrospect, I kind of miss.
Sure.
Because I just love a sassy, funny gal.
You?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Oh, and a bunch of people have Mockingjay pins and shit all over. And then they go away.
And see, at first, based on what I read, I was looking back at this and I went, oh, are they all part of the conspiracy? But then I was like, probably not. Probably a lot of the people with Mockingjay stuff are just fans of hers. But then this weird thing happens with Seneca Crane's replacement.
Plutarch Havensby.
Yeah. Oh, come on.
Guess who plays him in the movie? I believe. I'm remembering.
Owen Wilson.
No.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
No, the late Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Oh.
I know.
How fun.
And he's very good. As he usually is. Or always is. I haven't seen him do anything bad.
Nor I.
But yeah, PETA starts being like, maybe we were wrong about subduing things in the districts. And he does that almost in front of a camera crew, which
PETA, you beautiful idiot.
So then Plutarch invites Katniss to dance, which is weird as fuck.
Yeah, no, it's because he's got to show her his little watch.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's got this stopwatch, and in it like lights up for a half second, and it shows her the Mockingjay symbol, and he pretends like nothing happened. He says, "Oh, it's more than pretty. It's one of a kind," and that's all he says about it. It just like shows the Mockingjay, and then it goes away after he insists she looks at the face of the watch.
Yeah.
So that makes me feel like this guy might be a bit of a subversive.
He might be.
You know, which is interesting if the head of the games is a subversive, because should we talk now about... Because
theoretically it could be like, I'm a fan, but why would it be a secret?
Why would he just go blunk? And then, yeah. I don't know.
It's kind of interesting.
It is kind of interesting. Also, do you want to talk now or later about Quarter Quell theory recrafting? Later, probably, when they mention it, right?
I feel like once we mention it, let's talk about it. But... I'm dying to hear your theories. But yeah, so he shows her his watch face and then like disappears. They leave the party and they go home.
Yeah.
And there's a big harvest festival to celebrate the final day of the victory tour. And it's a huge public affair. And they go to the mayor's house first. She thinks about how she likes Mayor Undersea, especially now that his daughter is mad just friends with Katniss.
And she sees something she shouldn't see. She sees people running around and trying to blow stuff up on the TV. Mm-hmm. And it's not a Marvel movie. And it's not a Michael Bay movie. It's real.
Yeah. So she's getting ready for the whole party thing, for a new party. There's like parties everywhere. And then she turns back to the screen at the mayor's house where she's getting ready. And it says, update on District 8, flashing. Instinctively, I know this is not for my eyes, but something intended only for the mayor. I should go, quickly. Instead, I find myself stepping closer to the television. An announcer I've never seen before appears. It's a woman with graying hair and a hoarse or authoritative voice. She warns that conditions are worsening and a level 3 alert has been called. Additional forces are being sent to District 8 and all textile production has ceased. They cut away from the woman to the main square in District 8. I recognize it because I was there only last week. There are still banners with my face waving from the rooftops.
What horrible optics for you. But actually, like, here's the thing. I was thinking about this. We go like, oh no, you shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have said that. Obviously they should if they want to overthrow the tyrannical government. But since their stated goals were
survive,
don't fucking die, then they shouldn't. Just want to make it clear, fuck the Capitol.
Yeah, fuck the Capitol. But, be careful. You're only 16 years old, but also think about the horror of, like, I guess those banners stay up for a while.
Yeah.
Like, what if your kid got killed and then, like, the killer of your kid just hangs in the Capitol or hangs in the, like, public square for indefinite amount of time? Below them, there's a mob scene. The square's packed with screaming people, their faces hidden with rags and homemade masks, throwing bricks. Buildings burn, peacekeepers shoot into the crowd, killing at random. I've never seen anything like it, but I can only be witnessing one thing. This is what President Snow calls an uprising.
Yes, it is. And is it your fault? Kind of. But again, she's more the spark that helped everything else catch fire, hence the name and everything else.
Right. I mean, it's awesome.
It's great.
It's necessary.
It sucks.
It's scary.
It's great, though.
People will die.
Yeah.
People are dying.
Yeah.
It's worth dying for. It's still scary.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts, Gus?
Not really. I think you're right. Some of these chapters are fairly interstitial.
Yeah. Some of it does kind of give me chills, though, because it's like, you know, just seeing different world events happening all the time. It's
yeah.
Whew, people are so brave. I think all of us have that bravery within us, but I hope we're never called upon to use it. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Or at least not that extreme.
Chapter 7.
Chapter 7, Gus. Sorry, I'm looking forward to read. Chapter
okay.
7, Gus.
Say it again.
Chapter 7, Gus. So she goes to find Gale in the forest, right, and do their little rendezvous point. But she's looking for a path that will be unfamiliar because
yes,
where they've been before, where they've been before has been seen.
This is the beginning of the end for freedom as a concept, liberty as a concept.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also cool. She talks to Madge at first. She hasn't left yet, right? She like reflects on talking to Madge.
Yeah, so sorry, I got confused for a second.
Madge just shows up, and you're like, "What the fuck?"
I was like, "Wait, why is Madge here?" So it's a kind of flashback in her mind as she's kind of breaking a path for Gale to find her in the woods. She tries to give them Mockingjay pin back, and Madge is like, "Don't be silly, it was a gift." And we hear the origin of the Mockingjay pin.
We got this last book.
Well, we're reminded that it was her aunt's.
It's a symbol of...
and it's been in her family for a long time.
Yeah, it's a symbol of rebellion. It's a symbol of sort of quiet rebellion, too.
Mm-hmm. And she says... And Madge says, but mockingjays were never a weapon. They're just songbirds, right?
No, Madge.
Yeah, I guess so. But it's not true. A mockingbird is just a songbird. A mockingjay is a creature the capital never intended to exist. They hadn't counted on the highly controlled jabberjay having the brains to adapt to the wild, to pass on its genetic code, to thrive in a new form. It hadn't anticipated its will to live.
Metaphor.
Metaphors. Suze flips the table over. And of course it reminds her of Rue. So she reaches an old house at the end of the lake.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and she sees Gale, and he has betrayal in his eyes.
Oh, it's this whole...
over her engagement to PETA.
God. Oh, my God.
And she thinks, this will be my last chance, this meeting today, to not lose Gale forever. I mean, you kind of have. Just kind of like with everything. And she says, President Snow personally threatened to have you killed. Anyone else?
Here's the thing about this fucking guy. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, he didn't actually give me a copy of the list, but it's a good guess. It includes both of our families.
Probably.
Unless what?
Oh, I like your Gale voice.
Yeah?
He's a little broy.
I like trying to differentiate him from PETA.
Yeah. Now you know how I feel when I do the Wheel of Time and it's 9 million women.
I couldn't. And I'm not as good at accents as you.
Oh, stop.
Plus, they're all from the same place. And he goes, well... Thanks for the heads up. And then, and he's a asshole because she gives him some gloves and he's like, I don't want your fiance's old gloves.
Yeah, here's the thing about this guy. Last book, you twisted my arm until I said the words, right now I'm Team Gale.
You claim that this was like a really big twist of the arm. All I said was, oh, so you're saying you're like Team Gale?
You said, so like if there were like a Team PETA and a Team Gale.
No, that's not how I said it. Oh, replay the tape. I
have to go find it. That was a long time ago.
Someone find it for us because Gus claims that I was like really leading the witness. And I personally felt like I said something very casually where I was like, oh, okay, so like you like PETA. You would say you're Team PETA.
No, Gale.
Or Team Gale or whatever.
But here's the thing about this guy. One... I have a lot of sympathy for, his situation. 2, shut the fuck up. Like, she's like, hey, let's flee. And he was like, yes, you and me. And then she's like, well, also all the other people we care about and PETA. And he's like, never mind. No. And then she goes to PETA with that same plan. He's like, okay, if that's what you want. I don't know.
I think he thinks it's going to be like a romantic run away together thing.
No, dude.
But I'm like, your whole family will get killed. Like, even little Posey.
Think about it for a minute. I feel bad for this guy because then he gets the shit flayed out of him.
He's only 18 years old, or 19 years old.
Yeah, and I feel bad for him. He does get his back whipped to pieces, and that's horrible. He's been a little bit of a little whiny boy, a little bit.
Oh, and he's like, you're bringing hay, Mitch? And she's like, yeah, they'd torture him to death trying to find out where I was.
Of course, here's the other thing. At the same time, shut up, Katniss. You can't run away from this. You started this. I know you didn't mean to, but you're in it now.
Yeah. Oh, and Gale's all PO'd that Katniss would leave to save her mother and Prim and leave Gale behind. And he's like, well, what if I can't convince my family? Like, I'd stay behind if, like, I couldn't convince my family. You'd leave me? And I'm like, fuck yeah, dude. Her whole thing is, I want to keep my sister alive.
She literally basically sacrificed her life to keep her sister alive.
You think she wouldn't, if she's going to sacrifice her whole ass life, do you think she'd sacrifice the guy she has a will they won't they with?
Barely even a will they won't they.
We kissed once.
They kissed once and we're buddies.
And we've been wood pals. Like, come on, dude. Why are you getting a big head about this shit? It's stupid. It's like, let's try and save as many fucking people as possible. How about that? I don't know. Let's try and save everybody that we think they might kill. Rip Madge, though, am I right? Because isn't Madge kind of friends with Katniss?
Not close enough for them to do anything, I don't think.
You don't think?
No. It's the mayor's daughter.
I know, but it's a big gamble.
Yeah.
She'd give her the pin. I don't know. I'd start worrying. I'd be like, is Greasy Sue going to be okay?
Oh my God. What's his name? Hutch, the liquor dealer.
I know. I'd start to worry. Like, anyone connected to her could be in trouble.
Could be.
Like, how many people do you think? I mean, before you get to, like, the whole district, which would be pretty ridiculous. But
I mean, her leading this group of, like, 20 people out is already a lot.
I mean, it's a lot. Oh, and she tells Gale everything she saw.
Yeah, she recaps.
And she's like, you know, if I had just killed myself with those berries, none of this would have happened.
No, it would have actually more.
Peter could have come home and lived, and everyone else would have been safe too. Safe to do what? Starve? Work like slaves? Send their kids to the reaping? You haven't hurt people. You've given them an opportunity. They just have to be brave enough to take it. There's already been there's already been talk in the mines. People who want to fight. Don't you see it's happening? It's finally happening. If there's an uprising in District 8, why not here? Why not everywhere? This could be it. The thing we've been... And so, you know, she's like, stop. These are people's lives.
Yeah, he's like, I read...
You know?
Here's the thing, I think. He's like, he has no practical concept of the brutality of the... I mean, he does. He's seen it on TV, but he's not experienced it. Yeah. So I think the reason why he is cavalier, in my opinion, he's a little gung-ho about a revolution, and she is like, no, is because she's watched people die in front of her. She's killed people. Yeah. You know, she has had the Capitol point a gun metaphorically at her head, whereas he hasn't.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's lost... You know, I know he lost his father in the mine accident, right?
Yeah.
And all that. And yes, I'm not minimizing that. I'm saying there's a difference.
And badass Hazel was like, I gave birth and now I'm working.
I'm clear. Jesus. And meanwhile, poor Mama Everdeen was like, what starvation? But I get it, you know, whatever.
Trauma. Yeah. So, everyone handles trauma differently.
But here's the thing. What was it? He has not experienced the direct brutality of being set upon until later this chapter.
Here's my thing about Mrs. Everdeen.
Again, I'm not.
I think we can acknowledge that her behavior was due to trauma and hold space for that and be like, empathy. But we can also acknowledge the damage that she did to her children in that trauma.
Yeah, I think.
Are
you saying there's a nuance?
There's a hot nuanced take to be found here, I think, where we're like, it's both. And that's the thing. That's the thing when people argue for or against Mrs. Everdeen. I'm like, it's both. It's both. She like sucked as a parent, but she had her reasons for sucking as a parent.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we can't necessarily completely indict her, right? And be like, oh, that was selfish and shit, because she was going through trauma. However, that did unbelievable amounts of damage to Katniss.
Yeah, it's not good.
Right? She parentified Katniss, and that's shitty. And like basically almost starved her children to death.
What's parentification, Allie?
Parentification means that you basically make a child take the role of a parent, and that's a form of trauma.
Yep.
It's a form of traumatizing your child. It's like if the child had to make money to support the family, if the child became a almost parent to the other children or the parent themselves, that's all parentification. It's not the same as like have a summer job so you can like go to the movies. That's not the same thing.
Right.
It's not the same as like babysit the kids once in a while and we'll, put money towards your allowance. That's not the same thing.
Right.
It's like the expectation of childcare, financial providing, or like intense emotional support beyond what you should be providing as a child to a parent.
In lieu of that of the parent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's extreme circumstances. But this was an extreme type of parentification where it was like either provide for you and your sister or die.
Or you both go to the fascist orphanage.
Yeah. And if there's a great orphanage to be had, it's a fascist orphanage. I hear they're the best kind.
Oh, and then she has the whole conversation again, but with Peeta? Yeah, Peeta.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing.
It's the same thing, but he's like,
run away.
But he's like, okay, if you can make it work.
But yeah, now there's a crowd gathered when they go back.
Oh yeah, because somebody, Romulus Thread. By the way, last week I said Snow doesn't sound like a capital name. And then I learned that his first name was Coriolanus, which I did by looking up the words.
I was so mad at you.
Oh, for God's sake. I Googled the Ballad of Snakes and Songbirds because I knew it was about the president. I read 7 words which said, it follows a young Coriolanus Snow.
I haven't Googled anything
6
in
words.
peace for 3 years.
That is not true. You looked up
one time.
One time you nearly spoiled things in Wheel of Time.
I didn't do it in full because I said to you, I'm going to look them up. And then you went, no,
it's
don't
revisionist
do
history.
that.
You hit enter and I had to grab the phone away from you.
Okay. Well, I didn't see anything. You might have.
I saw nothing.
Still, don't ever do it again.
I won't. I just wanted to know his first name.
No one liked that.
All right, I'm sorry.
If you are upset that Gus Googled something and almost could have been
everyone yelled at
spoiled.
me all weekend over it. It was exhausting.
No, they didn't. Don't ever do it again.
Okay.
Yeah, so everyone's trying to get her to go home because they're like, you will make this worse, which is true. Her presence would make it worse.
Yeah. Well, she kind of...
You think that it didn't make it worse?
They stop it. How is it? I mean, yeah, in the long run, sure, but she probably kept him from whipping Gale to death.
I don't think they were going to whip him to death, do you?
He wasn't going to stop, and he was unconscious.
Oh, then maybe. So Gale's wrists are bound to a wooden post. The wild turkey he'd shot earlier hangs above him, the nail driven through its neck. His jacket's been cast aside on the ground, his shirt torn away. He slumps unconscious on his knees, held up only by ropes at his wrists. What used to be his back is a raw, bloody slab of meat.
Don't like that.
Blech. Standing behind him is a man I've never seen, but I recognize his uniform. It's the one designated for our head peacekeeper. This isn't Old Cray, though. This is a tall, muscular man with sharp creases in his pants. The pieces of the picture do not quite come together until I see his arm raise the whip. So it looks like Snow was like, there's a new sheriff in town.
We're gonna send the Gestapo.
The big bees.
This is bad.
Let's break for ads. All right, now that you've been whipped into shape by our ads. Chapter 8, Gus.
Oh, boy.
So Katniss cries, no, and springs forward. But it's too late to stop the arm from descending, and
she gets
so
one
she
across
throws
the face,
herself
right?
directly between the whip and Gale. I've flung out my arms to protect as much of his broken body as possible, so there's nothing to deflect the lash. I take the full force of it across the side of my face. Ow!
Ow! And then Haymitch comes in with an absolute banger cover for this.
So she says, "Stop it! You'll kill him," which might be the point. Hold it. Haymitch appears and trips over a peacekeeper lying on the ground. It's Darius. A huge purple lump pushes through the red hair on his forehead. He's knocked out but still breathing. What happened? Did you try to come to Gale's aid before I got here? Haymitch ignores him and pulls me to my feet roughly. Oh, excellent. She's got a photo shoot next week modeling wedding dresses. What am I supposed to tell her stylist? So then the guy recognizes who she is.
And he still doesn't quite back down. Like, here's the thing. A peacekeeper jumped in and was like, do not kill the 18-year-old. And then he, like, clocked him on the head. I'm not, look, yes, in the long run, does her standing up for Gale make things probably worse? Yeah. But it also probably keeps him from fucking dying.
Yeah, so it is what it is. But he said the man rests his whip on his hip. She interrupted the punishment of a confessed criminal.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
And Haymitch goes, I don't care if she blew up the blasted Justice Building. Look at her cheek. Think that will be camera ready in a week? That's not my problem. No, well, it's about to be, my friend. The first call I make when I get home is to the Capitol. Find out who authorized you to mess up my Victor's pretty little face. So,
Haymitch, again, it is tragic that he knows he has to do this. Like, everything I learn about Haymitch makes his character more sad.
Yeah.
Every single thing I learn about him, I'm like, well, that's depressing. Well, that's horrible. Well, that's awful.
Yeah. And so he says, the other man says he was poaching. What business is it of hers anyway? He's her cousin. Pete has got my other arm now, but gently, and she's my fiancé. So if you want to get to him, expect to go through both of us. Hot.
You got all the winners arrayed against you now. Romulus Thread.
Is that his name?
Yeah, his name is Romulus Thread.
You know what? Suze has a gift for the naming.
Although nothing will ever compare with the announcer played by Stanley Tucci. Coffee Pot Estuary.
Caesar Flickerman.
Yeah.
Caesar Flickerman.
Cranberry Forest. Caligula Frank.
Yeah, so then they're like, you did all the lashes he was supposed to have. Mm-hmm. Like, so fuck off.
Like a while ago.
Like, oh, it's been a hot minute, actually. And unless your sentence is death, that would be firing squad. And like, that's not how things work around here. And then they take Gale to Katniss's mother.
Oh, and she's just like, it's happening again. Which, again, Miss Everdene's seen some shit.
Yeah.
She's seen some shit.
And she puts some snow on her face. Not to do anything about the bruise, just cause. Just kidding.
It's just a thing they have.
So, yeah, then she hears what happened. So Gale must have gone to Cray's house, as he's done 100 times, knowing Cray pays well for a wild turkey. Instead, he found the new head peacekeeper, a man they heard someone call Romulus Thread.
That's such a great name.
No one knows what happened to Cray. He was buying white liquor in the Hob just this morning, apparently still in command of the district. But now he's nowhere to be found. That's not good. Rip Cray. Word of his predicament spread quickly. He was brought to the square, forced to plead guilty to his crime, and sentenced to a whipping to be carried out immediately. By the time I showed up, he'd been lashed at least 40 times. He passed out around 30.
Good God.
Luckily, he only had a turkey on him. If he'd had his usual haul, would have been much worse. That's what one of the guys says.
And Darius had stepped in after 20 to be like, dude, stop. And the guy just punched him in the head.
Yeah. Yeah, he punched him in the head after trying to stop him. Not good.
I love the way Katniss talks about her mom on this page.
Let's read it. I'm filled with awe, as I always am, as I watch her transform from a woman who calls me to kill a spider to a woman immune to fear. When a sick or dying person is brought to her, this is the only time I think my mother knows who she is. In moments, the long kitchen table has been cleared, a sterile white cloth spread across it, and Gale hoisted onto it. My mother pours water from a kettle into a basin while ordering Prim to pull a series of her remedies from the medicine cabinet, dried herbs and tinctures in store-bought bottles. I watch her hands, the long, tapered fingers crumbling this, adding drops of that into the basin, soaking a cloth in the hot liquid as she gives Prim instructions to prepare a second brew. And then she looks at Katniss's eye and is like, get more snow on it. Thanks, Ma. So Gale is regaining consciousness. They're
yeah,
picking at him.
This painkiller. So this is the thing where Katniss goes kind of feral and is like, give him all the painkillers. And Mama Everdene's like, get out of the room.
Yeah, she's like, you need to leave. And Haymitch and Peeta literally carry her from the room.
Yeah, she goes, just give him the medicine. I scream at her. Give it to him. Who are you anyway to decide how much pain he can stand? And they're like, get the fuck out. Yeah, I get it, but leave.
Yeah, and she's like screaming obscenities at her mother.
Mm-hmm.
Helpful.
I get it. She's freaking out. You know?
Listen, I understand, but her mom's like, I'm in the process of saving his life. Can you
I saw you, I mean, it's not
deal?
quite the same, but if I saw you in this kind of pain and they weren't giving you, the most strong shit they had, I would likewise be a fucking menace mess and should not be in the room.
No, but like if anyone who's going to be a menace mess should leave the room. Do you know what I mean? Meanwhile, his own mother is standing there like debating with her about the ability
because she's seen this before.
Yeah, Hazel has seen shit.
Katniss also, every time she's seen somebody this injured, pretty much, don't they die? Like in the games?
No, she's like fled into the forest.
Yeah, she either leaves or she was at the Hunger Games and they died when she saw people this badly injured.
True. That's true.
She's never...
Well, Peeta was really badly injured.
I'm sorry, apart from Peeta.
And she was able to save his life.
Because she gave him the strongest medication known to man.
True.
Yeah.
But
I'm just saying, like, she's wrong, but I get why she's doing this.
Yeah.
Oh, and then she runs...
I just think the obscenities... Everyone's traumatized right now.
Yeah, no, I'm not defending her. And they all immediately forgive her the second they see her again.
Oh, but we're not going to weep for Cray because apparently he used to lure starving
I forgot about this. Oh my God, I blocked this out.
So we're actually very cool with Cray going away. Because
Cray, the sex pest.
He's a sex pest.
Yes.
So it was his habit of luring starving young women into his bed for money that made him an object of loathing in the district.
I forgot about that because I hate him.
Yeah, fuck Cray, actually. Yeah. So Katniss was like, had I been older when my father died, I might have been among them.
Here's what I like about Suze. She's like, that guy's dead. Don't feel bad, though. He was a sex pest.
And you know what? Preach, Suze. Preach. We shouldn't be sad when sex pests die. I'm not. Yeah. So fuck sex pests. That can be the title of the... But you know what I love about Suze? It's so clear that we hate the sex pest.
It's good. Yeah, I like it.
It's so clear. She's like...
It is explicit.
He died, and no one's sad about it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Suze, fucking A. Suze is one for the women. Anyway.
Does a backflip.
Yeah, exactly.
Rides a horse standing up.
Truly. She
goes to the LA Phil.
Goes to the LA Phil. So then the doorbell rings. I shoot straight out of bed. Out because Katniss goes home. Who could it be at this hour of the night? No, wait. No, because they live together. Never mind. So Katniss is at home where her mother is also working on Gale.
Mm-hmm.
But Katniss is in a different room. And the doorbell rings. I shoot straight out of bed. Who could it be at this hour of the night? There's only one answer. Peacekeepers. They can't have him. I say, might be you they're after. Haymitch reminds me, or you. Not my house. But I'll get the door. No, I'll get it. So her mother goes to the door. She opens it. It's Madge.
It's Madge. And she brought totally not morphine.
Oh, yeah. She brought it's her mother's.
Mm-hmm.
She said I could take them. Use them, please. And then she goes back into the storm.
What do they call it? Morpha?
Morphling.
Okay, so she didn't want to print morphine.
It's good capital shit.
Didn't want kids to go and talk about morphine.
No,
so she changed the name a little bit.
It's morphine, but it's not morphine. Morphling. So Madge's mom might have a substance abuse problem.
Or, yes, she probably does.
Yeah, Madge's mom has a substance abuse problem.
I was looking for a possible alternative. There is none.
Yeah, poor Madge.
Because she's not a pharmacist. So, yeah.
And Peeta surprised Madge knew Gale, and Katniss tells him that they used to sell her strawberries because she had a taste for them. And now she's just tracing Gale's face because,
Yeah.
and thinks about how he looks younger, asleep, age appropriate even. Anyway.
They both are.
He's 19 and she's 17.
Yeah, he's 18, she's 16, Peeta's 16.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
As opposed, I have already forgotten that Sex Pest Guy exists.
Yeah,
we
hate Sex Pest.
He doesn't exist.
Oh, and then she thinks about what life would have been like if Gale and her positions had been switched. So she imagines Gale volunteering to save Rory in the reaping, having him torn from my life, becoming some strange girl's lover to stay alive, and then coming home with her, living next to her, promising to marry her.
Yes, I understand why he's upset.
And then she hates him.
Yes,
and
it's fair. Girl. Yes, it's youth. I know. It's still annoying.
It's reasonable, but it's still fucking annoying.
I'm 30 now. I can complain about
you
them.
don't own her.
No, he doesn't. But he's also
and she's doing 18. It to save your fucking life.
Yeah, it's weird because I'm like, 18. I was 18 just a couple years ago. And then I go, 12.
I know.
Actually.
I know.
Huh.
I think about that a lot. I'm like, high school wasn't that
I'm sure
long
I haven't
ago.
changed that much. And I think about it and I go,
and you're like, wow. I've lived so much life since then.
Maybe.
So much has happened. I looked back because we just celebrated our 10-year anniversary and we met when we were 18, right? So around this age. And then we got together when we were 20. And we look the same.
Pretty similar.
We look the same. But, I have red hair now and that's pretty much the difference.
Pretty much.
But it's so wild looking at old pictures of ourselves going, they don't know about the pandemic.
They don't know about any of this.
They don't know that we got married. They don't know any of what we know. And that's such a weird thing about pictures.
Yep.
Like it's different looking at pictures of yourself as like a baby.
Yeah.
But once you're an adult, you have a lot of pictures of yourself as an adult. And I keep kind of looking at them going, oh, they have no idea what's coming. And in good ways and bad ways. Do you know what I mean? Both.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's interesting about the podcast too, because so much has happened just since we started the podcast that it's like, you have no idea.
Yeah, listen to episode 1. You don't know about the pandemic. I think we knew COVID existed peripherally.
It was October 2019 that we started the podcast?
Then we probably didn't.
So we might have
heard the word, but I don't think that was till like December. I don't remember.
I remember where I was when you texted me. I was walking in to teach when you texted me. We have 10 downloads on our first episode. And I was like, wow, I can't believe 10 people are listening to us. That's cute. But yeah, she apologizes to him and he says, hey, Catnip. Hey, Gale. I thought you'd be gone by now. I'm not going anywhere. Dumb. I'm going to stay right here and cause all kinds of trouble.
I mean, I get
it.
She shouldn't. I mean, the question is, can she be of help? And the answer is yes. So she should stay.
I guess. Chapter 9, Gus. She gets shaken awake by Peeta, who tells her to go up to bed and that he'll look after Gale. And then she's got a bunch of bad dreams.
Yeah.
About Clove trying to knife her and becoming a mutation.
Flashbacks in my book.
Licking the blood from her wounds. A whole thing.
Is this the chapter where she goes into the woods? I think it's the chapter she goes into the woods.
Well, there's a whole blizzard first.
Oh, and they burn down the hob. Right. They fuck because there's a blizzard for multiple days, and she's like, well, sure will be interesting to see if anything's changed, and everything has changed. There's armed guards everywhere, and they burn down the hob, which I forgot was a building. But yeah, that's gone. Town Square is gone.
Fuck your community.
Fuck all of you. You're just subjects. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds like that's about fascist, all right.
Yeah. Yeah. She thinks about how the Capitol is no end of creative ways to kill people. but she has to face the fact that my family and friends might share this fate, whatever fate the Capitol decides.
Right.
And she thinks about Prim and how she can't let the Capitol hurt Prim. And then she thinks about the fact that they already have. They have killed her father in those wretched mines. They have sat by as she almost starved to death. They've chosen her as a tribute, then made her watch her sister fight to the death in the games. She has been hurt far worse than I had at the age of 12.
Yeah.
And even that pales in comparison with Rue's life. So she's like, for the kids, we got to do this. It's not too late for Rory and Vic and Posey. Not too late for Prim. If she can, get them, if they can fuck everything up. And she takes a shower.
Oh, and they're packing snow on his back.
Yeah.
And she goes, what do you do when you don't have snow? What do you do when it's warm? And she just says, you tried to keep the flies away.
Gross.
Horrible. Oh, God. And this is a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
This is a real thing that people have to deal with.
Yep. And Katniss apologizes. She says, I'm sorry about screaming at you yesterday. I've heard worse, her mom says. You've seen how people are when someone they love is in pain.
Yeah, right, okay, yeah. It's valid questioning and all that.
Yeah, Peeta went home.
They chat.
Katniss calls Peeta.
From next door.
I just wanted to make sure you got home. Katniss, I live 3 houses away from you. I know, but with the weather and all. Well, I'm fine. Thank you for checking. How's Gale? So he just checks in on her. And the weather's shit. And it takes 2 days to go away. They get Haymitch so that they can discuss what happened. And Haymitch hears that they have decided not to run away. And he is basically like, yeah, that was a stupid fucking plan. So glad that we're not going to do that. He says, my plan is to make sure everything is just perfect for your wedding. I called and rescheduled the photo shoot without giving too many details. Apparently, Effie got his phone fixed.
Is Gale's mom already working as his housekeeper? Or does that happen later this chapter? Because as I recall, Gale's mom gets a job as his housekeeper because Gale's got to take some time off from the mining.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, yeah, his house is no longer just full of piles of vomit.
Yeah, pretty much. They were like, all right, Hazel can work for Haymitch.
Every time
the Hays are hanging.
Every time Haymitch does anything, I think to myself, remember when you thought he was just the crazy old prospector, in quotes, who would show up for one chapter? And I go, you had no idea.
You had no idea what that poor man has been through.
And then they burn down the Hob. And there are armed guards everywhere.
Yeah, there's peacekeepers in pristine white uniforms march on the cleanly swept cobblestones. Along the rooftops, more of them occupy nests of machine guns. Jesus. Most unnerving is the line of new constructions, an official whipping post, several stockades, and a gallows set up at the center of the square.
Yeah, you don't want that.
Some streets away from the square, I see a blaze fire up. None of us has to say it. That can only be the Hob going up in smoke. I think of Greasy Say. That's her name. Greasy Say.
Every time she comes up, you go, Greasy something.
Greasy, just the fact that she's called Greasy
what is
something.
It, like Oily Mark? I don't, someone on the internet, like a linguist, a historian, a historical linguist. They're talking about Latin and or Greek specifically as it related to the name Jesus, because it essentially can be read as Josh who has been anointed. So they said, petition to rewrite the Bible as being about Oily Josh.
Oily Josh.
And then someone said, Oily Josh and his 12 teenage buddies.
I heard some comedian, I can't remember who it was, talk about Jesus. And he was like, the man could make water into wine and could only still have 12 friends. And I laughed so fucking hard at that. Anyway. So yeah. Oh, Katniss is worried people were in the Hob when they burned it down, and Haymitch was like, nah, they're smarter than that. You'd be too if you'd been around longer. So apparently, I think things have like lightened when it came to the peacekeepers over time, because they were like, it's 12. Who gives a shit? You know? Like, who gives a fuck?
Yeah, I was
let them do whatever they want. And now they're like, all eyes on 12.
Yeah.
Here comes the oppression mobile.
Isn't that just a tank?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're rebranding. It's the oppression mobile.
The oppression mobile.
Your friendly neighborhood oppression mobile.
Oh, God.
And it seems like Haymitch is like, yeah, stuff used to suck. Things started to suck less, but still sucked a lot. And
here we go again.
All the old people remember how much it sucked. So we're, equipped for this.
Yeah.
Versus y'all are going to learn real quick or die.
Yeah. Alas.
Or we overthrow it. One of the two things is going to happen. Well, okay, I have a fucked up theory. Do you think that maybe there's a possibility that they occasionally will just blow up the mines on purpose?
The people or the...
No, the capital.
I don't know what the benefit would be.
Kill all the able-bodied men in the area?
But you need
Kill
them
a lot of them or maim them?
You need them to work the mines.
I mean, you need them to work the mines, but do you need every single one of them?
I think given that they leave the fence unelectrified most of the time,
but that's different. That's fuck it. If they go hunting, they go hunting.
Yeah, but communication and information is more dangerous than a bunch of burly dudes in a mine.
Okay.
I
just wanted to...
I hear you. I think that's an interesting theory.
I was just thinking about, how they did that with, the Moses and the throw the baby boys in the river. Then that way we won't have more boys so they can't uprise.
Sure. Maybe.
Which seems a little short-sighted because, but whatever.
I don't think they're that worried about this in particular yet.
Okay.
In District 12 especially, I think they were like, they're broken.
Yeah. I was just thinking... Yeah, they were like, they're broken enough. We don't have to worry about it. Now they're like, nope, actually, we're going to crack down like fuck.
Yep.
And in rolls the oppression mobile. Slide in with the oppression mobile. Streets are deserted because it seems like it's kind of a fucking bummer. Why the fuck would you want to be on the streets when there are people with machine guns on the roofs?
Yeah, and she's like, oh, I wonder why this happened. And then she stops and is like, oh, because other me and also because other places... had uprisings.
Katniss is really like, it's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. Oh, and Posey, Gale's younger sister, has measles on top of everything else.
Oh, right.
When it rains, it fucking pours for Hazel.
Hazel's not there. Hazel wasn't there when they were tending to Gale.
She was at one point. She was stroking his hair and whispering and shit, and then she went back. So now she's got 2 kids, fucking completely laid out. And apparently, Katniss says, my mother says he'll be back in the mines in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Also, the mercantile and trade economy.
Children yearn for the mine.
The economy they've constructed has ground to a halt.
Yep.
Nobody is doing anything.
Yep. So stuff's going to suck real bad, especially because they can't freaking hunt anymore.
Yeah, and they light the hob on fire, and she wants to go look at it.
She wants to go check on Greasy's
Pete is like, dude, anybody you give attention to is going to be a target. Yeah, so that's don't.
Bad, dumb, don't.
And they get worried about Haymitch because the hob was also where the distillery was.
Yeah. The mine stays shut for 2 weeks, and by that time, half of District 12 is starving.
Oh, it's not Everclear, Gus. It's moonshine. We're in Appalachia.
The number of kids signing up for Tesserae soars, but they often don't receive their grain.
Wonder why.
Food shortages begin, and even those with money come away from stores empty-handed. When the mines reopen, wages are cut, hours extended, mines sent into blazingly dangerous work sites. Where is OSHA? Okay.
Gone.
Didn't exist. The eagerly awaited food promised for parcel day arrives spoiled and defiled by rodents.
But Haymitch hires Hazel. And they're thinking about the wedding.
So she can clean the house, and Katniss feels like a pariah because everyone's starving, and it's like, this is because of you.
She's like, I gotta get out of here. So she gets on this fancy schmancy cold weather gear she has, and she goes a-truckin' out into the forest, just in time for them to re-electrify the fence because they know she's gone out, so they decide to electrify it behind her ass.
Yeah. Oh, that sucked.
They do, on purpose, yeah.
There's a crate of wedding dresses that arrives one night with a note from Effie saying that President Snow approved these himself. So he's planning on doing this fucking wedding.
Does he think this will help?
Yeah, she literally asks, What in his twisted brain will that achieve? Is it for the benefit of those in the capital? A wedding was promised, a wedding will be given, and then he'll kill us? As a lesson to the districts? I don't know. I can't make sense of it.
We're beyond the point of lessons, I feel like.
Yeah.
They've taken the lesson and said, fuck your lesson.
Fuck you.
This is also why, and this is a preview, his choice, if it was his choice to do an All-Stars season, as I like to call it, oh my god, what a terrible idea. I'm not criticizing the choice to write it, but if he is the one who was like, yeah, let's do All-Stars, horrible timing.
Right. So she goes back. So she goes under the fucking fence, and she sees a white peacekeeper uniform. And but the weapon is dropping to the ground, and the unarmed woman is holding something out to me in her gloved hand. Stop, she cries. I waver, unable to process this turn in events. Perhaps they have orders to bring me in alive so they can torture me into incriminating every person I ever knew. Yeah, good luck with that, I think. My fingers have all but decided to release the arrow when I see the object in the glove. It's a small white circle of flat bread, more of a cracker, really, gray and soggy around the edges, but an image is clearly stamped in the center of it. It's my Mockingjay. Hello.
Hi,
it's Allie and Gus from the future.
We recorded the other chapters. It took an hour and 20 minutes, and then Audacity crashed. So it's gone now. So yeah.
We're gonna record the rest of it this weekend, probably.
And it'll be up next Tuesday.
Sorry about that, folks. Thank you so much, everybody. This is Wheel Takes Podcast. If you would like to hear more from us, we have social media information listed below. We also have a Patreon if you want to get involved that way and get some patron exclusive merch. We have a merch store if you want to show off to all your friends that you love Wheel Takes. And we also have places where you can leave ratings or reviews, which really, really helps.
Yeah, tell a friend.
And tell several.
Tell a friend. Hey, I heard you like the Hunger Games, or also the Wheel of Time. Here's some people who think they have opinions about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, anything else, Gus?
I can't even keep fucking reading.
Thank you so much, everybody. Bye.
Bye.